There are days that define a nation's history through triumph, and then there are days that scar a nation's soul through tragedy. Today, Canada is not just grieving. We are in a state of suspended disbelief. The illusion of safety, that fragile promise that our schools are sanctuaries, has been shattered in a small corner of British Columbia. Tumbler Ridge is not a metropolis. It is a community of just over 2,000 people, a place where anonymity does not exist, where every face is familiar, and where the bonds of neighborliness are the foundation of daily life. In a town like this, a school is more than a building. It is the heart of the community. But early Tuesday, that heart was broken. Families were torn apart in a senseless act of violence that defies logic and language. Parents sent their children to school with the simple, unthinking faith that they would return. For 10 families, that reunion never happened. 10 lives lost, over 25 injured. These are not just statistics on a screen. They represent empty chairs at dinner tables, uncelebrated birthdays, and a silence that will echo in the mountains of British Columbia for generations. As a nation, we are forced once again to confront the unbearable weight of sudden loss. But we must also confront something else, our own resilience in the face of darkness.
Learning more about the mass shooting at a high school in BC. 10 people are dead, including the suspect. Hannah Lepine is in this morning. Hannah, what's the latest?
Well, Jefferson, it was an absolutely devastating day for the small community of Tumbler Ridge. RCMP say they received a report of an active shooter at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School early Tuesday afternoon. When Mounties entered, they found 6 people, plus the suspected shooter, dead. 1 person died on the way to hospital. 2 other victims were found dead inside a home believed to be connected. Another 25 people were treated at a local clinic for non-life-threatening injuries. Police won't identify any of the victims or the suspected shooter.
The details are devastating. An active shooter, a frantic response, a community locked down in terror. But beyond the immediate chaos of the news cycle, we must look at the response. This is one of the most difficult stories to cover because it strips away the noise of politics and leaves only the raw vulnerability of human loss. In moments like this, a nation looks to its leaders not for policy, but for permission to grieve. We look for a reflection of our own shock. Today, Prime Minister Mark Carney faced perhaps the heaviest test of his leadership. It was not a test of economics or diplomacy. It was a test of humanity. And we saw something profound. We saw a Prime Minister speak with visible, unpolished emotion. We saw Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly express a solidarity that went beyond official talking points. We saw a Parliament that is often defined by division suddenly unite in a shared, suffocating grief. This tragedy in Tumbler Ridge was sudden, chaotic, and absolute. When officers entered that school, the scale of the horror was already set, but the scale of the response is still being written. Authorities are working to understand the what and the why. But let's be honest with ourselves. For the families, why is a question without a satisfying answer. No motive can explain away the death of a child. No investigation can reverse the trauma of a teacher who shielded their students. Tumbler Ridge is a microcosm of Canada itself, resilient, hard-working, close-knit. This tragedy didn't happen to strangers. It happened to us. It happened to the fabric of our society. And when Prime Minister Carney stepped up to the microphone, his voice carried the weight of that realization. He didn't speak as a politician managing a crisis. He spoke as a father confronting his worst nightmare. He acknowledged the grandparents, the siblings, the friends, the expanding circles of pain that radiate from a single act of violence. But he also offered a lifeline, the assurance that Canada, and indeed the world, is watching and weeping with them.
Well, it's obviously a very difficult day for the nation. This morning, parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. I want to thank and pass on a number of world leaders who've reached out directly to me in solidarity and compassion. France, United Kingdom, His Majesty himself, Norway, Finland, India, United Arab Emirates, many others. The world is with you. I have spoken to Premier Eby. Minister of Public Safety has been engaged, as have many Canadian officials over the evening. Minister of Public Safety is en route to British Columbia. He and the Premier will be visiting the community. All assistance, obviously, will be offered. We thank the First...
The world is with you. Those are not empty words. When the Prime Minister lists nations like France, the UK, India, and the UAE, it serves as a powerful reminder that humanity transcends borders. Grief is a universal language. But notice the immediate action that followed the words. Prime Minister Carney ordered flags to be flown at half-mast across all federal buildings. To some, this might seem like a mere symbolic gesture, a protocol of the state. But symbols matter. In the midst of chaos, a flag at half-mast is a silent sentinel. It tells a grieving mother in Tumbler Ridge that her loss is not private. It is recognized by the state. It tells a father that his child's life mattered to the entire country. It creates a physical space for national mourning. Carney also took time to thank the first responders, those men and women who ran toward the sound of gunfire while others ran away. The teachers who became human shields. The medical workers who treated the wounded with hands that surely shook. These people represent the very best of the Canadian spirit. They are the light that flickers in the darkness. Later, in the House of Commons, the tone shifted from immediate shock to solemn resolve. Addressing the nation from the floor of Parliament, Carney's words were measured, thoughtful, and deeply resonant. He described Tumbler Ridge not as a victim, but as a community of strength. A town built by miners and workers, people who know how to survive harsh winters and hard times. He reminded us that this community has faced wildfires and economic uncertainty before. They are forged in resilience. And he declared with absolute clarity that Tumbler Ridge represents the best of us.
To those who are recovering from injuries, this House prays for you. To the students, the teachers, the parents, every resident of Tumbler Ridge, all of Canada stands with you. May the memories of those lost be a blessing. May this community, which has shown its resilience so many times before, once again find the strength to heal. And may this House prove worthy of what Tumbler Ridge has always been, by striving to make Canada a better, kinder, and safer place. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
May this House prove worthy, a powerful invocation. In his address, Carney spoke directly to those most affected, the families, the children, the protectors. He didn't offer cheap platitudes about moving on. Instead, he thanked them for their courage. He validated their trauma. But Carney also did something strategically important for the national psyche. He placed this tragedy within the context of Canada's painful history. He referenced Montreal, Quebec City, Nova Scotia, Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Why do this? Why list our scars? Because it reminds us that we have broken before and we have healed before. Each of those names, Humboldt, Nova Scotia, evokes a specific memory of national heartbreak. By connecting Tumbler Ridge to this lineage of grief, Carney is telling the community, "You are not alone in this journey. We have walked this dark road before, and we will walk it with you again." It is a message of continuity and survival. This whole-of-government response was echoed by Mélanie, Joly, and other federal officials. They aren't just sending thoughts and prayers, they are mobilizing the machinery of the state. Mental health care, financial assistance, long-term community support. They are emphasizing that the cameras will eventually leave, but Canada will not. This is a commitment to the long, slow, agonizing process of rebuilding a shattered community.
Well, obviously our hearts and and so sorry with the community in Tumbler Ridge. And I was in contact with the Premier yesterday and with the Minister of Economic Development, Ravi Kalin. And we will concentrate today on the community, and of course we will be there for them to be able to heal.
In Parliament, amidst the raw emotion, Prime Minister Carney made one point unmistakably clear, a point that defines true leadership in a crisis. There is a time for politics, and there is a time for silence. There will be time for difficult questions about how this happened. There will be tough conversations about safety, about policy, about prevention. But not today. Today is for the victims. Today is for the families. To rush into debate while the wounds are still bleeding would be a dishonor to the dead. Carney creates a protective space around the community, allowing them to breathe, to cry, and to simply be in their grief without the intrusion of political point scoring. Healing cannot be rushed. It is not a policy objective that can be fast-tracked. Pain cannot be scheduled, and mourning demands respect. This restraint, this refusal to immediately politicize the tragedy, is what separates a statesman from a partisan. What happened in Tumbler Ridge has changed the timeline of our nation. There is the Canada before this Tuesday and the Canada after. No words can undo the violence. No speech, no matter how eloquent, can bring back a stolen life. No policy can erase the memory of what those students witnessed. But how a nation responds matters. It matters deeply. Today, we saw compassion weaponized against despair. We saw leadership that was humble and honest. We saw a unity that is all too rare in our modern world. We saw a country that, when wounded, does not lash out, but reaches out. To the families who woke up this morning to a silence where there should be laughter. Canada mourns with you. To the injured lying in hospital beds, fighting to recover. Canada prays for you. To the students, teachers, and residents of Tumbler Ridge who must now walk back into a world that feels less safe, Canada stands beside you. And to everyone watching this, let this be a reminder of the fragility of it all. Hold your loved ones closer tonight. Forgive the small grievances. Be kinder to your neighbor. Be gentler with strangers. Because in the face of such senseless tragedy, our only defense and our greatest strength is our shared compassion.